Air Force Captain Lisa Torres had launched 163 drone strikes in 2 years. 163 targets eliminated. 163 confirmed kills. Torres never saw the targets in person, never heard their voices, never knew their names. Torres sat in a climate-controlled trailer at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, 10,000 miles from the war, and pressed buttons that ended lives. It was clean, surgical, distant, until Strike 164. Until Torres looked at the intelligence packet and saw a target designation that made no sense. Until Torres started asking questions. What Torres didn't know was that those questions would reveal a conspiracy so vast, so profitable, that people would kill to keep it hidden, and that Torres's own family would become the price of Torres's pursuit of truth. The target packet came through at 0600 hours. Standard format, grid coordinates, target identification, supporting intelligence. The target was designated high-value individual, Taliban commander. The intelligence summary claimed the target was planning an attack on coalition forces. Immediate threat, time-sensitive operation. But something felt wrong to Torres. Torres had reviewed hundreds of these packets. Torres knew what solid intelligence looked like. This packet was thin. No intercept transcripts. No human intelligence confirmation. Just metadata. Cell phone data showing the target had contacted known Taliban numbers. Location data showing the target frequented areas of Taliban activity. Torres said to Torres's commanding officer, Major Ryan Callahan, "Sir, this intelligence seems insufficient. We have metadata but no confirmation of hostile intent. No visual confirmation of weapons or hostile activity." Callahan said to Torres, "The target fits the profile, Captain. Our analytics team has identified this individual as a high-probability threat. That's sufficient for engagement." Torres said to Callahan, "Sir, with respect, metadata can be misleading. What if this is a civilian who happens to know people with Taliban connections? What if the location data is coincidental?" Callahan's face hardened. Callahan said to Torres, "Captain, we don't have the luxury of perfect intelligence. We make decisions based on probability. This target has been flagged by the system. Your job is to execute the mission, not second-guess the intelligence." Torres looked at the live feed from Torres's drone. The camera showed a compound, 3 buildings, movement visible in the courtyard. Torres counted 7 individuals. 2 appeared to be children, playing, running, living. Torres said to Callahan, "Sir, I have visual on multiple civilians, including children. I request permission to delay strike until we can confirm the target is isolated." Callahan said to Torres, "Negative. The intelligence indicates the target is in that compound now. Time sensitive. Execute the strike." Torres's finger hovered over the trigger. Torres had done this 163 times. Torres had never hesitated. But this time was different. This time Torres couldn't ignore the doubts screaming in Torres's mind. Torres said to Callahan, "Sir, I'm refusing the order. This doesn't meet engagement criteria. Too many civilians. Insufficient intelligence confirmation." The room went silent. Everyone in the operations center stared at Torres. Refusing a direct order in combat operations was career suicide, possibly criminal. Callahan said to Torres slowly, "Captain Torres, you are refusing a direct order?" Torres said to Callahan, "Yes, sir. I cannot in good conscience execute this strike. It violates rules of engagement." Callahan said to Torres, "You're relieved of duty. Step away from the controls. Lieutenant Marsh, take over the station." Torres stood, watched as another pilot sat down, watched as that pilot reviewed the same intelligence, watched as that pilot, without hesitation, pulled the trigger. The missile took 48 seconds to reach the target. Torres watched the screen, watched the compound explode, watched the buildings collapse, watched the thermal signatures of 7 human beings disappear in an instant. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Drop your name and city in the comments. Let's see where this story is reaching around the world. Torres was escorted to Torres's quarters, told to await investigation, charges of insubordination, refusal of lawful orders, possible court-martial. Torres sat in the small room and tried to process what had just happened. Torres had killed someone, maybe 7 someones, maybe children, because Torres had been replaced by someone willing to follow orders without question. That night, Torres received an email, encrypted, anonymous sender. The subject line said, "You were right." The email contained a single sentence. "The algorithms are being manipulated. Follow the money. Check Titan Defense Analytics." Torres stared at the message. Titan Defense Analytics was a private contractor. They provided targeting intelligence to the military, sophisticated algorithms that analyzed metadata and identified potential threats. The system was supposed to be objective, data-driven, unbiased. But what if it wasn't? Torres began investigating. Torres couldn't use military systems. Torres's access had been suspended. But Torres had personal contacts, friends in intelligence, people who owed Torres favors. Torres started with public records. Titan Defense Analytics. Founded 6 years ago. Rapid growth. Now one of the largest defense contractors in the intelligence sector. Contracts worth billions. Their primary product, Predator, predictive recognition and elimination decision algorithm for tactical operations resource. The Predator system analyzed cell phone metadata, location data, financial transactions, and social networks to identify potential threats. It assigned probability scores. Anything above 80% was flagged for potential targeting. Above 90% was designated immediate threat. Torres dug deeper. Found financial records. Titan's revenue was directly tied to the number of strikes conducted using their intelligence. More strikes meant more funding, more contracts, more growth. Torres found the perverse incentive. The more people Titan designated as threats, the more valuable Titan became. There was no penalty for false positives. No accountability for civilian casualties attributed to faulty intelligence. Just profits. Endless profits. Torres contacted the person who'd sent the encrypted email. Used a secure channel. The person identified themselves as Marcus Webb, a data analyst who'd worked for Titan until 3 months ago. Webb agreed to meet, in person, off base. They met at a diner in Las Vegas. Webb was nervous, constantly checking over Webb's shoulder. Webb said to Torres, "Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would." Torres said to Webb, "Your email said the algorithms are being manipulated. What does that mean?" Webb said to Torres, "Predator isn't objective. We were pressured to adjust the parameters, make the algorithm more aggressive, flag more targets. The executives wanted higher threat identification rates, said it proved the system's effectiveness, justified increased funding." Torres said to Webb, "How did you adjust it?" Webb said to Torres, "We lowered the thresholds, changed the weighting. A person who might have scored 70% threat level suddenly scored 90%. Same data, different result. We turned possible threats into definite threats with a few lines of code." Torres felt sick. Torres said to Webb, "How many false positives? How many people have been killed based on manipulated data?" Webb said to Torres, "I don't know. Hundreds, maybe more. The system has been in use for 3 years. Thousands of strikes have been based on Predator intelligence. We created an algorithm that turns probability into certainty. And then we rigged the probability." Torres said to Webb, "Why are you telling me this now? Why not report it when you were working there?" Webb said to Torres, "I tried. I went to my supervisor. Said the adjustments were unethical, that we were essentially programming the system to generate false targets. My supervisor told me it was necessary, that the military wanted aggressive intelligence, that this was what the contract required. When I kept pushing, I was fired, given a severance package and a non-disclosure agreement, told if I talked, I'd be sued into oblivion." Torres said to Webb, "But you're talking now." Webb said to Torres, "Because I saw the strike you refused. I was monitoring the feeds. I recognized the target packet. I knew it was based on predator data. Knew the intelligence was thin. And when you refused, when you stood up and said this wasn't right, I realized someone needed to tell the truth, even if it destroys me. Torres said to Webb, I need proof, documentation, evidence that shows the manipulation. Webb pulled out a USB drive. Webb said to Torres, this has everything. Source code showing the parameter changes, internal emails discussing the adjustments, financial records linking increased targeting to increased revenue, meeting minutes where executives explicitly discussed inflating threat assessments to justify contracts. It's all here. Torres took the drive. Torres said to Webb, what will you do now? Webb said to Torres, disappear. Change my name. Go somewhere Titan can't find me. This evidence will destroy them. They'll come after anyone involved. You need to be careful, Captain. These people have billions at stake. They won't let you expose this without a fight. Torres returned to base. Torres reviewed the evidence on the USB drive. It was damning. Irrefutable proof that Titan had been manipulating targeting algorithms to increase profits. That hundreds of strikes, maybe thousands, had been based on false intelligence. That civilians had been killed to pad corporate bottom lines. Torres prepared to go public. Torres contacted the Inspector General, requested an investigation, submitted the evidence, waited for justice. But justice didn't come. Instead, Torres received a visit from 2 Air Force Office of Special Investigations agents. They informed Torres that Torres was under investigation for mishandling classified information, unauthorized contact with a former defense contractor employee, possession of proprietary corporate data. Torres tried to explain, tried to show them the evidence, but the agents weren't interested. They confiscated Torres's computer, Torres's personal devices, the USB drive, everything. Torres was placed on administrative leave, pending further investigation. Torres's security clearance was suspended. Torres was told not to discuss the case with anyone. Not media, not colleagues, not even family. Torres realized what was happening. Titan had connections, political power. They'd used their influence to shut down the investigation before it started. Had turned Torres from whistleblower into suspect. Had buried the evidence under classification and corporate privilege. Torres had to make a choice. Accept the situation. Stay quiet. Hope to survive with career and freedom intact. Or fight back. Go public. Risk everything to expose the truth. If this story is affecting you, hit that like button and subscribe. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from, your name and city. These stories matter. Torres chose to fight. Torres contacted a journalist, Sarah Brennan from the Washington Post. Brennan had covered military issues, had a reputation for protecting sources, for publishing stories others wouldn't touch. Torres told Brennan everything, gave Brennan copies of the evidence Torres had hidden before the confiscation, showed Brennan the pattern of manipulated strikes, the civilian casualties, the profit motive. Brennan investigated, verified Torres's claims independently, found additional sources, other analysts who'd witnessed the manipulation, other officers who'd questioned the intelligence, a pattern of doubt that had been systematically suppressed. Brennan prepared to publish, but before the story could run, Torres received a call from Torres's ex-husband, David Torres. They'd divorced 2 years ago. Custody battle over their 2 children, ages 7 and 9. The custody arrangement was fragile. Joint custody with specific terms. David said to Torres, Lisa, we need to talk. I've been contacted by lawyers from Titan Defense Analytics. They're offering to help me get full custody. They say they have evidence you're unstable, that you're under investigation for serious charges, that the children would be better off with me. Torres felt the world tilt. Torres said to David, they're threatening our kids? Using our children as leverage? David said to Torres, I don't know what you're involved in, but these lawyers say if you drop whatever you're doing, they'll go away. They'll leave us alone. But if you keep pushing, they'll make sure I get full custody, and you'll never see the kids again." Torres's hands were shaking. Torres said to David, "David, this is bigger than me. This is about people dying, innocent people, children in Afghanistan, because a corporation is making money from false intelligence." David said to Torres, "I believe you, but I also need to protect our kids. These people are serious. They have power, money. If you go to war with them, we'll lose. All of us." Torres sat in silence. Torres thought about Torres's children, about their faces, their laughter, the way they ran to Torres when Torres came home, about missing birthdays, school plays, bedtime stories. Torres thought about the children in that compound, the ones Torres had watched die on a screen, the ones whose names Torres would never know, who died because an algorithm said they were threats, because a corporation needed profits. Torres made the hardest decision of Torres's life. Torres said to David, "Tell them I'll stop. I'll drop the investigation. I'll stay quiet." David sighed with relief. David said to Torres, "Thank you. I know this isn't easy, but it's the right choice for the kids." Torres hung up. Torres called Sarah Brennan. Torres said to Brennan, "I'm pulling out. I can't be part of this story. They're threatening my kids. I can't risk losing them." Brennan said to Torres, "I understand, but Lisa, I have the evidence. I have other sources. I can still publish, without naming you. The truth can still come out." Torres said to Brennan, "Will it matter? Will it change anything? Or will Titan just bury it like they've buried everything else?" Brennan said to Torres, "I don't know, but we have to try. This is what journalism is for, exposing corruption that people want hidden. You did the brave thing by coming forward. Let me do the brave thing by telling the story." The article, published 3 weeks later. Front page of the Washington Post. Defense contractor manipulated targeting algorithms for profit. The story detailed everything: the algorithm manipulation, the false positives, the civilian casualties, the corporate profit motive. The response was explosive. Congressional hearings, military investigations, criminal probes. Titan stock crashed. Executives were arrested. The Predator system was suspended pending review. But Torres's name was kept out of it, protected by journalistic privilege. Brennan had other sources, other evidence. Torres remained anonymous, safe, able to see Torres's children. Torres watched the scandal unfold from the sidelines, watched justice happen without Torres's direct involvement. It felt hollow, incomplete, but necessary. 6 months later, the full scope of the scandal emerged. 743 strikes had been based on manipulated Predator intelligence. Civilian casualties were estimated in the thousands. Multiple corporate executives were indicted. The company collapsed. And Torres quietly left the Air Force. Honorable discharge. No charges ever filed. Torres took a job as a commercial pilot. Civilian work. No more combat. No more killing. Torres tried to rebuild, to be present for Torres's children, to forget the images that still haunted Torres's dreams. The compound exploding, the thermal signatures disappearing. The moment Torres had been right and had been punished for it. 3 years later, Torres received a letter from Afghanistan, from a man named Rashid Ahmadi. Written in careful English, the letter said, "Captain Torres, you do not know me, but I know what you did. A journalist told me your story, told me you were the pilot who refused the strike, who tried to stop the killing. I am writing to thank you. The compound that was destroyed after you were relieved, that was my brother's home. His wife and children died. 7 people. My family. Because a computer said they were dangerous. Because a company wanted money. Your refusal did not save them, but it helped expose the truth. Helped stop others from dying the same way. You gave meaning to their deaths. You made their loss matter. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for trying. May God bless you." Torres cried reading that letter. Cried for the family Torres couldn't save. Cried for the choice Torres had made. cried for the children Torres had sacrificed to protect Torres's own children. But Torres also felt something else. Validation. Proof that standing up had mattered. That refusing that one strike had started a chain of events that saved lives. That even in defeat, there had been purpose. Torres kept the letter. Read it when doubt crept in. When the guilt became too much. When Torres questioned whether any of it had been worth it. Torres never returned to military service. Never piloted a drone again. But Torres became an advocate. Spoke at conferences. Warned about the dangers of algorithmic warfare. Of profit-driven intelligence. Of systems that turn human lives into data points. Torres paid the price. Career destroyed. Dreams abandoned. Years of fear and uncertainty. But Torres had also helped expose a truth that needed exposing. Had helped stop a killing machine that would have kept destroying lives indefinitely. Was it worth it? Torres still didn't know. Torres had saved her children from being pawns in a legal battle. But Torres had also chosen them over the immediate fight. Had stepped back when stepping forward might have stopped the killing sooner. The moral calculus was impossible. Save your own or save strangers? Protect your family or protect the truth? The choice had felt obvious in the moment. But living with it was harder than Torres had imagined. Torres found peace eventually. Not complete peace, but acceptance. Understanding that there are no perfect choices in impossible situations. That sometimes you do what you can. Save who you can. And trust that others will carry the fight forward. Sarah Brennan carried it. The other whistleblowers carried it. The investigators carried it. The truth emerged. Justice happened. Lives were saved. Torres's contribution was refusing one strike. One moment of courage, one choice to say no when everyone else said yes. That moment rippled outward. Started conversations, sparked investigations, changed policy. One person, one refusal, one choice that mattered. That was Torres's legacy. Not perfect, not complete, but real. And in the end, that was enough. It had to be enough.